So I've actually just come back from SMX Advanced conference in Seattle, and it's actually interesting to see that a lot of people in this industry hadn't actually adopted app indexing as quickly as I thought. So a little bit about myself. Who was this guy? So for the last 3 years, I've worked with eBay Classifieds Group, based in Amsterdam, working across App Store optimization, app indexing, responsive design, and definitely looked at a heavy focus towards mobile because I could see that's where my big growth channel is. Later this month, I'm hoping to join Blue Glass London as Director of Strategy. So we're based here with their London team, which is pretty exciting. So one of the recent changes around Google App Indexing, they renamed it to Firebase App Indexing. That was, I guess, a bit of a PR play to get a lot more people to adopt their product, but it's not really, I guess, too much changed at this point, but I anticipate there's going to be a lot of changes out of app indexing over the next 6 to 12 months. The app indexing topics covered through my session. Obviously, the basic introduction around it, some technical implementation guidelines on how to do it, some common pitfalls you may encounter with it, as well as what types of errors you can expect, some results that I've seen within app indexing, and I guess some other stuff just around visibility and app installs, and what I see is next in the industry. So why app indexing? So the big thing for me around app indexing is, and Google has acknowledged this several times, and so Apple has off the record disclosed this, is that the app experience for discovering new apps is not really great. You know, often you don't know the exact app you want to download if you want to do the same functionality you would have done within the desktop version. So it's not bad to have a lot of apps within the App Store that do different things. It's just very confusing for your users. And sometimes it's just too much effort. You know, I'm going to the IKEA store on the web, I can click around, I can find what I want to do. If I'm downloading the app, I don't know which one of these apps is going to do what I need it to do. So the App Store experience is pretty bad currently. And you know, when you go to Google and you do a search within Google, you know that that website result that shows up is probably going to answer your question. But the App Store, it's often not the same due to potential things like black hat people spamming certain keywords. The actual app you download may not be what you think it is. And obviously Google says a lot of people who actually download the apps don't end up actually using them. So the advantage of platforms like app indexing and actually encourage your users to return to your app once they've downloaded it. So this is the thing, you spend all this time and money building out this app, you pay £1 or £2 to get the app downloaded, and it sits on their phone and never gets used. The advantage of app indexing, it also cuts out a lot of the process, because you think you've downloaded the app, and you go to the App Store and you search for the app, and you find you've already got it downloaded, so you open it. The advantage of platforms like app indexing is shortcuts the process. So Google actually prompts you to say, hey, I've got the Hostel World app installed already, and I can download it. I can open it. So why I think app indexing is important. So the biggest, I guess, elephant in the room is Google. So app indexing is deeply integrated within the Google ecosystem. So that's a very big thing. If you want to get more traffic into your app, you know, why not play along with Google? You know, this may not be the final solution from Google around apps, but it's definitely something you can benefit from now because a lot of your competitors aren't doing it. Again, the process for your users is fairly simple. You know, do you have the app, yes or no? If you have the app, you can open the app or you can open the website. You know, typically it takes around about 24 to 48 hours to show up on the user's device once they've installed the app. But again, it's a very simple thing for your users. And the big thing around this, if you're encouraging users to re-engage with your app, they're less likely to use a competitor. And you get these types of results, which I think is pretty cool. You know, it's an advantage now, you search for Airbnb Amsterdam, you don't see any aggregators or affiliates. So app indexing also offers you a way to control your brand and traffic again. Sadly, the click rate on these types of results is not as high as what I would expect, but they look great. So here's a very quick, simple question. So we have two results here. And obviously the benefits around app indexing, you get branding, personalization, ranking improvement. But of these two results, can I get a show of hands? Who would show the one on the right? Click the one on the right. Anyone? And the one on the left? No hands? No? No?
Can't see the results.
You can't see the results?
Difference. Okay. Can you explain the difference?
Okay, so basically, it's a mobile, it's a mobile search result, and the one on the left has the app installed, and the one on the right doesn't. So I guess the easy answer for everyone is the one on the left actually has a ranking result of 10. So you've now pushed your app onto the first page of the search results. And when you think about how people use Google, a lot of people don't click to the second page results. So if I was going to go for the option, I would definitely go for the one with the app because it's shown on the first page and also has a lot more real estate dedicated to it. Does that make sense? Cool. So some guidelines around the technical implementation. So there's three main methods you currently use to enable app indexing. The first one, which is slowly sort of dying off with the rollout of universal apps, is using meta tag. Again, this was the first one, so we were very early adopters. So this is what we used. I also liked it because I could easily check what pages were actually indexed. But again, Google's trying to drop adoption of this particular one. The second one, which is probably something that's more relevant to this audience, is the app indexing API. The benefit of this type of thing is it offers auto-suggest. So again, it reminds people you have the app already installed. It is also based on user engagement. So if I've gone into the app and I've looked at a London restaurant in the Yelp app, and I search for London restaurants, it'll actually surface that result, higher than organic results. It also gets enabled for Android now on tap. So when you're thinking about the most bang for your buck, the app indexing API is probably the one that offers the most. There's also another one around XML sitemaps. Again, this is one which I probably wouldn't advise for a lot of businesses because you have to rebuild the logic of your XML sitemaps. So Google basically advises it's best to do 2 out of 3 to get the most benefit from app indexing. So this is the perception of what I think the impact would be. So as you can see, the app indexing has the biggest impact due to the various features such as the auto-suggest and now on tap. But obviously you want to do, I would say, app indexing by the API and also the meta tag. The other interesting thing around if you do the API, it's actually very hard to diagnose your errors within your app and how you, I guess, maybe screwed things up. So it is very possible for your developers to get something wrong and send all the URLs to the homepage, which is a very bad result. So some of the common pitfalls around app indexing. As I said, it's very easy to mess up a few of these things because it's something new and a lot of things break. A lot of your apps aren't actually set up to handle app indexing as well as they maybe could be. So in regards to app indexing, typically they create a whole lot of 404 error pages within your app that previously you haven't had to think about. So a lot of apps haven't had the idea that it's possible to generate a 404 error page. So if you've got an app and you are doing app indexing, make sure you build in some logic, some handling to deal with 404 error pages. This is also if you're doing various other types of deep linking activity. Also the user experience. So typically a lot of your apps when they're built, you didn't take into account the load times for deep linked results. So when you've got app indexing, once it gets beyond 2 to 3 seconds to load, users will actually click back to the search results. And that's part of the requirement of app indexing. You need to have the back to search results option available to users. So these are the types of things that, when you're doing app indexing, you say, yep, let's do this. These things you need to be across, you need to think about. So what types of crawl errors can you expect? And also what tools does Google offer to help you out? So obviously Google has a special search console for app indexing that enables you to gather some general statistics and information about how your app is performing within the Google search results. When you want to test your app, there's actually 2 options. You can test the live version, live APK in the Play Store, or you can upload your own one. This is good because if you're going to do a lot of changes within your app, you can actually test them within the Google Search Console before you roll them out to ensure you don't mess up your app indexing. Also, this is a very important one. So again, this is the type of thing that I guess your developers may not be thinking about when they roll out app indexing, but you will actually want to test some of the key URLs and look to see how it actually looks to users. So Google offers a Fetches Google bot within the Search Console, and you can see here this is a successfully rendered page. So I've removed some of the identifiable details, but this is the result I was expecting for that deep link that I shared. This is the types of problems that app indexing will bring up. So you may find within your app or within your website, you have a lot of pop-ups. Typically Google in time can get smart enough to get around those pop-ups, but don't make them too difficult. Typically your users hate them as well, and it makes Google struggle to crawl your site properly. These are things when you do the testers Googlebot, these things start to surface. Another one which I was speaking to a few people in Seattle about is they actually had some issues where a whole lot of pages got thrown into the app indexing that they hadn't actually wanted to get indexed. So Google on Android actually offers a opt-out feature. If there's a particular page within your app you don't want to see within the search results. So within the Search Console, again, once you've had your app verified, you get a lot of access to a lot of this information. You can start to see, is there particularly any errors showing up? And ideally, if you have a lot of errors within app indexing, you won't get the results you need. And also crawl status reports understand where you might have failed. So again, these are good things for your technical team to identify, because I've said we've rolled out app indexing, we're not seeing the results we want. You can check these types of error reports and understand what may have gone wrong. So these are some of the major crawl errors. So all of these but one actually exist within the Google Help guidelines. I've never actually seen a site removed from the index, but that basically means along the line with the black hat stuff, you kind of spam Google a bit too much. So, it could be the case that you have a desktop version and you have 20 million pages, but technically there's only 100 pages. That's the type of result. You've spammed Google with app indexing and they've thrown you from an index. So the last one's a very dangerous one, but it's something I'm assuming most web developers won't encounter. The overused URLs, that's when you basically screw up and you redirect through the app indexing API everything to one page. You send everything to the home page or particular category page. So that's one you want to watch out for. Another part I want to touch on about is the tracking. So within Android, it's a lot easier to track app indexing. Within iOS, it's a bit murky. So obviously you can track it through search referrals. So Google set up that functionality. One partner, obviously there's lots of other partners. I spoke to some of these tracking partners which are outside here. So there are other alternatives, but I spoke with Tune at SMX in Seattle. They actually support the referrer handling. And obviously Google has its own. I don't actually know anyone who's used Firebase SDK to track app indexing, but it's something that Google sort of just rolled out with Google I/O, and it's kind of its counterplay. Because typically with app indexing, you couldn't actually track the results of your campaigns within Google Analytics. It was a bit of a grey area, a bit of a black box. So Firebase SDK is to try and help you understand how you're getting maybe more traffic from app indexing. So some results achieved around app indexing. So you get these kind of cool benefits with the app indexing API. You remind users that have already got your app installed when they go searching for it. It helps with branding a bit. Typically, if you've got trouble ranking for particular locations or head terms, these are where app indexing has some potential to show you a fair bit of benefit. Particularly if your SEO visibility is not as high as you'd like, app indexing can potentially help a lot. Also, again, this is the type of thing that you want to prompt users to reopen your app and use it to answer their queries. So this is basically the process. If someone has your app installed, they see the results, they click through into the app. It's great, it's simple. You get bonus features if they actually have app indexing enabled. So you get the free organic search install box. 20 seconds left. Some tough results achieved. So the amount of installs that actually end up on a click to install button is not as high as I would like, but it's free organic downloads. So the important thing to remember about app indexing, it doesn't live in a silo. You need to consider app store optimization, app download campaigns, what competitors are doing, AdWords results. All these will have an impact in terms of does your app indexing perform or not. And yeah, so the thing about app indexing, the visibility can be very volatile. So don't panic if you don't always see the app results, they won't always show. The individual keyword results are not as significant as you would think. iOS users do actually click on app indexing results. A lot of people think that iOS users don't know what app indexing is. Looking at data, it's not as high as Android, but they do definitely react to app indexing results. And yeah, so basically I'll wrap up. There's a few more slides around this, but we can have discussions later. The app install button doesn't appear all the time. It mostly appears on branded queries, but it's also interesting with app indexing where your app install button shows. So it shows a lot of time for your competitors, but this is where you can start to understand information about what other apps your customers may have installed. So yeah. Yeah. What's next? iOS, obviously. This is the last sort of closing slide. So app-only service will come at some point soon. This is a screenshot I captured on my phone. I couldn't replicate it, but you kind of think in the future, in an app-only world, how will your business survive? Oh, I'm desperate. Thank you.